I'd like to join my colleagues in thanking both you and Chairman Cortez for your work these last couple of weeks. The hearings have been conducted very professionally and very fairly, and I do think that we've gotten a lot of great input, and I appreciate the work of the staff. We've been hooked at the hip for a couple of weeks. Mr. Secretary, you've been part of that. Your commitment has been noted, and your staff, you all have been with us throughout, and I do very much appreciate that and respect that. You know, I believe that God has put all of us here at this time in history because he believes that we can solve the challenges before this state. And the challenges in transportation are extraordinary. And we have heard that. The message has been loud and clear that we have tremendous challenges. And I do believe that you have the leadership skills to lead us through that. And I mean that with all sincerity. And
appreciate that.
Have tremendous respect for you and your ability. And I look forward to working with you to help you accomplish that, as well as my colleagues. I'd like to submit to you, though, that the solution to these challenges in transportation is not just more revenue, although there's no doubt that you cannot get to $13 billion backlog with somewhere between $300 and $600 million a year of investment. You're just never going to get there. And I recognize the backlog continues. I mean, look how many projects we've added to the list in these last 2 weeks. And the book of projects, the $13 billion book, is this thick. We don't carry it around with us because it's extensive. But I would submit to you that I believe what our constituents want to know is not just how much more money it's going to cost us, but how we can make more use, better use out of the dollars that we have. And I would challenge you to look at ways to improve processes. You know, I respectfully disagree that fast-tracking projects, the best way to do that is just through more money. It isn't just about more money. It really is about improving processes. And here, I'm new to this business, but let me just throw out a couple of ideas in the spirit of solutions for you to consider. And I would challenge you all to think differently about how you do your work. For example, I wonder if we need the same levels. It appears to me we have the same level of engineering requirements for every project. You know, why can't we get a turning lane built in a rural community faster or with less hoops to go through than a widening of I-12? There ought to be projects that can get done faster and with fewer checkpoints, less engineering, less bureaucracy, and let's put those projects in different kind of buckets, you know, so that the ones that need more engineering and more attention get that scrutiny, and those that are a little bit kind of more routine get a little bit different treatment. I'd like to see us to consider to push more authority maybe down to the district level and to the parish level, not just authority but money also, so that we're not the bottleneck. You know, there's not one central place that everything kind of has to funnel through. Maybe perhaps we should consider a different strategy. I mean, it seems to me that our strategy with our current program, and I understand this, is you move hundreds of balls a little bit every year. And so it takes us 10 years to complete a project. But, you know, we've moved a lot of balls in a lot of districts all over the state a little bit every year. But I'm wondering if maybe it wouldn't be worth considering doing fewer projects but moving them through the cycle time faster, you know, so we actually see results. Some of the cycle time is related to bureaucracy that we as legislators have laid on you, and at the federal level also. Tell us what those are, Sean, in cases where there are things that are really just, it's a bunch of red tape and it's not really adding value to the bottom line. We know how to fix that. So we can pass laws to change those things. So help us identify what those things are, and let's get rid of that. And let's make these processes and your work better. If we're asking you to do things, in my way of looking at it, that's not contributing to the bottom line, it's not putting asphalt on the ground, then we need to work to eliminate those. President Kennedy in 1961 challenged NASA to put a man on the moon before the end of the century, and they did in 1969. It's 8 years we put a man on the moon. We're just building roads here. There's got to be a way that we can do it better, faster, cheaper. And so I would challenge you to look for ways that we can do that to make more use of our money, so that we can show our constituents that we're not just continuing to ask you for more taxes and more money, but we're also doing more with the money that you've given us. Legislators, you probably know that in 1989 we passed an extra 4-cent gas tax so that we could work on 16 specific projects. And that was the commitment, and the voters of Louisiana approved that. That was more than 25 years ago now. 14 of the projects have been completed. The 2 that have not been completed are both in Senate District 1. One is in St. Tammany Parish and one is in St. Bernard Parish. And so we have been paying our share of gasoline taxes now for 25 years without a project in our area to show for that. And so, I guess my challenge is, one, helping my constituents, or what do I tell my constituents about why they should vote for another gasoline tax when they haven't really seen the benefits of the last one yet. And so, I'm looking for help from you and from the task force in giving them some assurances that those 2 projects are going to be addressed in some prioritized way. And then how do we go forward with a new program, which I think is probably, from what I've heard you say in the past, is not going to identify specific projects and convince voters, trust us, because in the words of Ronald Reagan, like the 9 worst words in the English language is, I'm from the government, and I'm here to help. We don't have a lot of trust with our constituents in some cases, and so I think we need to make sure that they believe that the money is locked down, as I think Senator White said earlier, that the money is locked down and that we are going to spend it on transportation projects and that we are going to spend them in the areas where the needs are the most.